Okay, guys, welcome back. This is going to be my fifth 10NL session review video. Actually, I think I'm going to start showing my my Hold'em manager here. So this is my reports. I mean, anybody that watches my videos might be wondering, like, who the hell is this guy? Should I really even be wasting my time watching his videos? But I recently just purged my hands from the last few months. I actually didn't play the last 2 months, but from 1 month I got about 30,000 hands in. I went from $100 to $1,700 within about 30,000 hands, less than 30 days. I wouldn't even say it's a heater. I mean, I just kept winning. I got to like a $900 bankroll, and I took a few shots at 100 NL. I was doing an aggressive bankroll, and there's this one player that, I mean, he was one of the worst players I've ever seen. He would be cold shoving $400 pre-flop, and this is a 100 NL where like you can only buy in for $100. He'd be cold shoving $400 pre-flop with complete trash, like ace 2, pocket 5s, just he was psycho. And I was really getting in on that action, and I mean, it was a swingy night, and I had an over $1,000 stack. And the guy, he bought back in probably 20 times, and he just kept playing like a maniac. He'd be shoving for $300, $400, $500 with mid pairs, and sometimes like he'd be sucking out. Like he'd be hitting his 2-pair, he'd be taking somebody else for $300, and he'd have a $800 stack. He had a $1,500 stack at one point. So this happened for like 3 hours straight, where we're just waiting for like a hand to actually shove or call his shove with. Because I'm not going to be calling his $400 shove with like ace high post flop and things like that. I did call him down pretty light though. Like I called him with like pocket 9s, I think, pre-flop for a few $100. Ace 10 off, I'm pretty sure it was one of the hands that I called him pre-flop. And then post-flop, there was like 3 hands in a row that he either had a better hand when he shoved, or he sucked out on me. And I mean, this is what happened. Like I snap called him with mid pair. It was like a queen jack something flop, and I had jack ace, and he just cold shoved like he always did. And he happened to have like a really shitty queen, and he won that pot, and then he sucked out the next 2 times. So then my bankroll got destroyed, and so I'm just grinding it back up again. So 3,000 hands in, and my net one is $64. BB per 100 is 19.32, which is, this is a really small sample. I'm not even going to attempt to use this as evidence that I'm a solid player. We're going to continue getting these hands higher and higher, and you're going to continue to see a positive BB per 100. And this is 10 NL, which like I'm very comfortable with, because I used to play 100 NL and 200 NL at certain sites that were a little bit more fishy. So I've actually done over 2 hours of session review tonight. It's 1:30 a.m. You might think that I'm rambling a little bit, which I guess I kind of am, but I'm going to finish up just a few more hands under this active session. I won $14 that session, $54 that session. Looks like I lost $3 that session, which, when I'm doing these session reviews, I will absolutely admit and say that I made a mistake, or I check called a $3 bet with like ace high, and just things that I just shouldn't be doing, that are just dumb. And it's really good to know that I'm still making mistakes and that I have room to improve. So we're going to replay all, and this is one of 8, so there's only 8 hands. It was a very short session, like an hour and a half, and most of it was me just kind of waiting for her to join a table, so it's not a lot of hands. But as you see, there's a few pots here that I lost money on, and we're going to get to those. We're going to analyze it and see what happened. So let's go full screen here. We have ace queen suited, and this guy raises to 50 cents pre-flop. I'm not worried about that sizing at all because he's 4111, and he's only got 350 remaining, so I'm pretty comfortable with this. Yeah, I'm gonna 3-bet. I'm just gonna try to get my money in. He calls. At this point, king 10-8 with 240 remaining, I'm gonna be happy just shoving this and getting a fold from like pocket 7s, pocket 9s. He could call me with ace jack or something like jack queen. They're definitely in his range. 9 jack, things like that. So I'm gonna shove, and let's just see what happens. So the money's going to me. I hit a queen, and what did he have? So he had jacks. Okay, fair enough. He had jacks. So this is a pretty strong range for him. But ace queen on a king 10-8 flop versus jacks has pretty good equity. 2 overs plus, well, I mean, I didn't know he had jacks, but I have a gut shot as well. Next hand, pocket 9s. So this guy limps for 32-2. I'm going to be isolating him with a 60-cent raise, and I like to go a little bit bigger on my isolation sometimes, depending on how fishy they are. I would increase this to like 80, 90, $1, $1.20, depending on how bad they are. But he only has 393 left, so it doesn't really matter. And I don't really want to get 3-bet or anything like that and by these players over here, because he's 10.7 3-bet percentage, which means that he could be trying to play something against me and just try to like steal my money. So he calls, and at this point, I'm just gonna like bet, obviously, because I have a pair. The queen doesn't bother me, especially when he only has 248 remaining. He calls me, and the money goes to me. And so, like, as you see, he had king high on the turn, and he called me. So you remember that the previous hand when I had ace high on the king 10 board? I had equity against a large portion of the guy's range, but he had jacks. This guy had king high on the turn for like a few dollars more. So sometimes you just gotta jam, and they'll call you with ace high, things like that. King high, as you see. A 7 might have called me. I don't know. I mean, I think this proves my point. The king high proves my point. So queen 7. So queen 7, you might think like, well, what is he doing? Like, why is he raising it to 70 cents? We have a 59-4 over here who didn't show any aggression pre-flop. He just called. This guy's range is like 60% of his range. Queen 7 is it's like the computer hand or something like that. It's like the queen 7 off is like 50%. It's like the better than 50% and worse than 50%. It's like right in the middle of the hand values. But queen 7 suited against these players, and like I can probably just win their money pre-flop anyway. But if they call, I'm fine with that. So I have a straight draw, and I'm gonna bet because I have a straight draw. I have backdoor clubs. I have overcards to their cards. If these guys have like ace 4 or like king 9, something like that, like they might just fold to a flop bet. So betting this is fine. That's money right there, and I'm just going to continue betting and just get my money in because I have a straight. This hand isn't very exciting. So does he fold that? He folds. So there's not much else I can do other than just shove the rest of my stack here, and I guess he just didn't really have anything. So we have ace king suited here. I'm raising to 30 cents pre-flop, but looking at the table here, I could have raised a lot bigger than that. We have a 60-0, 46-6, and a 44-28. And I could have raised it like 50, 60 cents pre-flop. Don't be afraid of increasing your pre-flop raise size when you're at a table that's this bad. It's not like this strifer guy is going to be 3-betting me every time and taking advantage of me. All that's going to happen is you're going to be printing money against these players. And I probably just didn't notice it at the time. But I need to get better at scanning my tables even whenever I'm like not in a hand, just to see if the table's changed or if there's extra fishy players at the tables. So if I raised to 50 cents pre-flop, this would have been $1 already. And $1 is significantly better than 75 cents on a flop when you think about how big you can make the pot by the river. So I'm just gonna basically pot it, or like go close to pot here. I could have just potted this. I mean, I don't know why I picked 71 cents, but if this guy has a queen, he's gonna call. If he has a worse ace, he's gonna call me. Like, I could have just potted this and just created an extra 4 cents and increasing the pot size. It's really important to note that you can go bigger on your betting on certain boards. An extra 4 cents, you might be like, okay, like he's being a little bit nitpicky, but think about it, like an extra 4 cents here, he's gonna match it for 4 cents, and then on the turn bet, the pot's gonna be bigger, so I can bet bigger compared to the pot, which is gonna increase that as well. So an extra 4 cents is gonna turn into 8 cents, is gonna turn into 16 cents, and by the river, that's like an extra 20, 30 cents that you can make just because you increased your bet sizing a little bit on the flop. So these are really important. So he calls, I'm going to bet again, and he calls, and I'm going to shove because this is a really safe board, and this guy's a 60-0, so I don't really see why I'm not going to shove here. So I shove, he calls, and I win the pot. So he has queen 6. As you can see, he's got a queen, and a weak queen, and he's calling me. He calls the river shove. He called me with the queen, so that's nice. You just bet shove against these type of players because they'll call you with anything, honestly. So okay, so I flop trips, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be betting. I'm getting better at sizing my bets bigger on the flop and the turn. Like my first 2 videos, you'll notice that I'm like half potting it, 70%, things like that, because I was playing so many tables and I was just getting back into poker and I wasn't really thinking about it. But on this kind of a board, it's like you can't really do much other than bet and hope that they have like pocket 9s or a weaker 10 or a straight draw or ace high that wants to call you down and float you or something like that, like an 8 ace maybe. You just have to bet and hope that they call you. So here I don't really like the 9 too much, but I'm not going to be scared of it at all. Like, if they have a straight, then that sucks. And I could have probably bet bigger on the turn here, like 190, $2 maybe. Again, if they have a weaker 10, like 10 jack, 10 queen, they're gonna call me, and this opens up a lot more possibilities for draws. There's a lot of hands that might want to call me, like queen king of diamonds, things like that are going to call bigger bet. So I'd like to see myself go a little bit bigger here, and this guy is 34-23. He doesn't have like the strongest stats, so $2, an extra 40 cents is like not a joke. So I could have gone a little bit bigger here. I had to keep focusing on just betting bigger and trying to get pick that perfect bet size. So here, by the river, I'm not really thinking that. I'm pretty confident that I have the best hand. And again, if I bet a little bit bigger on the flop and turn, the pot would have been more around like $7, and I could have put it like $5 and gained an extra $1.12 on this 388. But, as played, I'm just kind of getting a value bet here. And let's see what he has. It doesn't show what he had, but I mean, he's calling me down to the river. He might have had like a 10 jack or 10 queen. But basically, like, you just have to bet, and pick a bigger bet sizing on specific boards. So pocket sevens, he bets, I call. He bets again, and I call. Okay, so normally speaking, like, I would be inclined to just raise the flops when I have sets and things like that. But on this board, it's a 10-7-3, it's monotone, rainbow, and this guy has a bet flop of 85%. The only time I would raise this flop is if I missed completely and I have like overs like queen king, and I just want to raise him to just bluff him off of his ace high or like a pocket fours or some crap that he's c-betting with. That's a tornado icon right here. Actually, it means that he's a psycho. So calling is fine. Now I remember this hand because I really don't like my call here on the turn. I think that this is a terrible call on the turn, and I should have raised it, and I should have tried to get my money in on the turn, because the board is super drawy now. Hearts are opening up, straight draws are opening up, and the guy could actually have like a good hand by now, like pocket jacks. If he does happen to have a hand, which is possible, and he has pocket jacks or pocket queens or something like that, and a king or ace hits, and he checks and I shove, he's not really going to want to call. So I should have raised this to like $3.50 or $4 and just try to get him to shove over top of me, or maybe raise him and hope he shoves. But either way, I should have raised. Now I remember this hand too, because the way he's betting very casually, like the timing of his bets, and he's betting, and then he pots it, or like almost pots it, like 90 something percent. And it's a very, very casual, like quick timing. He's just betting, and then like boom, he just bombs the river. Like he's not really thinking about his bet sizing. He's just boom, like just bombing it. And that made me think, like, okay, he's 85% bet flop. He's a tornado icon, and he's not really taking time to pick out a bet size. And I know that because he bet so quickly on the river, he couldn't have had time to just think like, okay, what do I have? Like, what is he gonna call me with? Like, how much can I bet for him to? Should I shove? He just bombs it like very quickly. And I have a set, and the board runs out really scary. I just don't see why I'm ever gonna fold here versus this type of a player. I call, and he wins the pot. I mean, he had jacks the whole time. He hits this straight on the river. It's kind of ridiculous. It happens. It's poker. It happens. But I really want to kick myself for not raising the turn here. This is really, really bad. Not raising the flop, though, is fine. Like, I feel comfortable just calling the flop. Again, I made the argument for it. Next hand, aces. Okay, so I could have probably gone a little bit bigger pre-flop to like 50 cents, because this guy is a 60-0 and he's on my left. I could have probably made it like 50-60 cents pre-flop, and he'll call me regardless. So yeah, so I should be potting this pretty much again, like at 71 cents. I don't want to say it's whatever, like pot to 71 cents, like it's pretty close, but at the same time, like even overbetting this, I could have gone like 80 cents, 85 cents maybe on this board, because if he has any piece of this board, he's going to want to call me. 10 queen, there's this like 9 queen, king, ace jack, ace queen, any 2 hearts, 7 8, 6 7 with a gut shot, like they're gonna call even a 10. A 10 is probably gonna call like an 85-cent bet. They're just not gonna fold a 10 here. I could have gone like 85 cents on this board because it's super drawy. So he calls. The 5 of spades is a really nice card because it doesn't really open up any draws further except for the spades. I have the heart and the spade of the aces, and normally speaking against tighter ranged opponents, like that would actually be significant to know like if they're drawing to a flush or not. But against this player, like he could have anything because he's 60-0. So I'm gonna bomb that again. And if I went to like 85 cents on the flop, the pot would have been like 240 something, 250 by now, and I could have gone even bigger on the turn, like 2 something, 220, 230, and that would have been like an extra 40 or 50 cents profit that I would have made off of the 180 that I'm betting, compared to, I mean. So again, a very common theme in all of my videos is I feel like I'm sort of cheating myself off of like another 20, 30, 40, 50 cents and a lot of hands. And I think that I need to just start betting even more, because it's obvious that they're calling me. I'm being called. Why not bet more? Like, they're gonna keep calling me. It doesn't matter if it's 180 or if it's 215 or pot. They're not gonna fold their king or their draws to an extra 30 cents when you're this type of a player. And like my skull is just being super thick right now. Like, I just need to stop being like a dumbass and just start betting more. And here, by this time, again, if I bet bigger on the flop, and if I bet bigger on the turn, and then this pot on the river would be like 650, 675, and I could have felt more comfortable shoving. This player here, like, he's gonna call me with a king, he's gonna call me with a 10. I should have been shoving this river. I should have set this up for a river shove against this player. He shoves on me. I'm gonna snap this off. And I remember this hand too. He had kings. Well played. Good game. He has a boat, and I lose. But it doesn't matter that he has a set of kings or a boat. Like, I'm not gonna say that I played this hand badly, because my bet sizing were pretty strong, but on this specific board and against this specific player, I should have been betting bigger and setting myself up for a river shove. As you see, I have 168 remaining, and in a perfect world, that would be 0.00, because I would have gotten all my money in versus this player, rather than like that could have been an extra $1.68 profit for my win rate and my bankroll right there. And if that happens, like, 2-3 times, 4 or 5 times every 2,000-3,000 hands, like, that's going to be significant. That's an extra $3.50, $4.50, $6 that you're missing out over 30,000, 40,000 hands. That's like $50, $60. That's significant. That's very, very significant. And yeah, so 7-6 suited. Like, again, like, you can flame me if you want to. Like, if you're a pro and you happen to just come across me limping, or whatever. I like to limp sometimes. I enjoy limping. I have it in my arsenal, and I don't really see any reason to isolate this player with 7-6 suited. I just want to see a flop. It's going to become multi-way. This guy might kind of call. This guy might complete. And then we're like a 5-way, multi-way with 7-6 suited. And then boom, if I flop a straight, or if I flop like a boat or something like that, we're going to be gold. So everyone raises, I'm going to call, and here we go. So this guy leads out into 4 people. I want to call because I want these guys to call to give myself better odds. Like if they have a king, or if they have like a straight draw or something like that, or like pocket jacks or something like that, they might actually call. But if I raise it, it's going to scare them out. So I just want them to call. This guy raises really big, which doesn't really bother me because this guy calls. And now when this guy calls, it's making me think like, okay, like I could be getting myself into some trouble here, but at the same time, like I really don't see myself folding this ever, because I'm going to be calling another $3 into like 1088, and I have a straight flush draw. It's a straight flush draw. And this guy leads out in the beginning. Remember, he bet half pot. He donked out. And I'm thinking like, oh, this guy might have a set. This guy could have a set. One of them might have like a strong king, because this guy actually just called this guy's raise pre-flop. He might have like king queen or something like that, or you know. And I'm pretty confident that Roganta is not going to be jacking the pot up so big with a flush draw. So I'm going to call, and I hit my flush, and what happens is it goes check, check, check. I don't see any reason for me to bet this flush here, because if anybody out of us 3 has a flush, I think at this time I'm the most likely candidate, and these players don't seem to be super fishy, and they might sniff that out if I bet anything, it's basically going to cover their entire stack here, because the pot's so big. So I'm going to check behind. I'm going to pray that another diamond doesn't hit and the board doesn't pair either, which doesn't happen. So I'm like really happy here. And then it goes check, and then boom. The guy bets 670, and I'm just like, fuck my life. Like, this sucks. I don't see myself ever folding this. I don't have enough information against this player to make that decision. And because I checked behind, and he let out in the beginning, and he checked the turn, like everything's pointing at this player not obviously having a flush, if you know what I mean. He's playing this like he has a set, or like a strong king, or he could just be super fishy and just being random, or even trying to. I don't think he's bluffing, because he called that $4 bet on the flop. So I'm just gonna call. I'm not gonna be shoving my flush, and he happens to have a higher flush, and that sucks. I mean, what can you do? You can't really do much. I'm not folding that river bet without more information. And if it was super deep and he shoves for like a $20, and I'm probably going to be folding my baby flush. But he gave me a really good price, and well played. Like, he played that pretty nicely. He disguised his hand. Like, he was a little bit weird about it, which kind of threw me off. But even so, I don't think I'm ever going to be folding that. So that was the 8 hands. This session review is over after 30 minutes. And peace out. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you gain some information off of these videos.